mean, median, and mode. Okay. Mean, mode, median. Let us understand what is a mean. What is the formula for mean? Mu equal to, agreed? This is what it is. And this boiled down to, when I'm using some observations, xn by n. Agreed or not? Because x1 into 1 by n plus x2 into 1 by n. Each observation probability is what? 1 by n. When I'm writing individually. That's why this formula became like this. Okay? And let us see a few examples. Example 1. For example, 1, 2, 3 is the data. I want to calculate mu. How I'm going to calculate? 1 plus 2 plus 3 by 3. How much is this? 2. Right? Example 2. The data is like this. What is going to happen? Average, mean, or whatever it is, equal to 1 plus 2 plus, how much is this? 20 some, 34 point something, right? So because of presence of this observation, what happened? My mean, the mean shifted like anything, right? Yes or no, guys? So what I'm trying to say is, mean is influenced by, important. Mean is influenced by extreme observations. Agreed? Friends. So if your data is having a lot of outliers, if you calculate the mean, it's a problem. Make sense? Make sense, guys? Yes or no? So mean is having, so that's the reason, if you are using a mean kind of calculation, definitely you need to remove the outliers. Otherwise, your mean is going to getting influenced. So first, in your calculations, if you are using mean to do something, definitely your data should be free of. Make sense? Next, median. What is this median? 50th percentile value. This is equivalent to Q2, right? So that is called median. What does it mean? You need to sort the data from smallest to largest and find out whatever the middle one. Yes or no? We know how to do this, all these things. Already we learned how to calculate this percentile value. Okay? Now example 1. 1, 2, median is 2. Example 2. What about this? Median is how much? Still it is 2. So your median is not getting influenced by extreme observations. So if your data is having a lot of observation, a lot of extreme observations, what is the best measure to use? Median, not the mean. So this is clear to everyone. So this is not, it is not getting influenced by extreme observations. So it is the center of the data, right? Median is the center of the data. Mean also center of the data. That's why the name is central tendency. Tendency in the sense concentration. Where is most of your data is concentrated. Okay. Shrikant Voleti, why you are asking that question? Don't you know how to calculate these percentages? Vinod. Mode. So let me give you examples. For example, your salary data. How the salary data is going to look like? Your CEO salary is very, very large, and a junior person salary is very, very less. With respect to junior people, juniors are very much in any organization, more number of people, right? So if you include CEO salary as a part of the junior data, what is going to happen? Average salary of every person is going to shoot up. So what is the best measure to use? Median, because your CEO salary is outlier with respect to the junior salary, right? You guys are understanding what I'm saying, guys? You guys are understanding? Okay. So whenever you are having too many outliers in your data, better to go for median instead of the mean. Okay. Mode. Mode is nothing but frequently occurring element. We don't use this in the real world mode anyway, but in the literature I'm explaining. What is this? Frequently occurring element. For example, 1, 1, 2, 3. Which is the frequently occurring element? Or 5 also, let us keep it. Okay. Actually, if it is a median, how much it should be? 2, right? Now, how much it is coming? 1. Because most of the times what is happening, that is what it is giving. You guys are understanding? So, in your data, if the most of the times whatever it is happening, that should be the mode. In this, answer is what? Sorry, answer is 1. Example 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is this? What is the mode? All. You want to make it all? Not applicable. So your height kind of the data, when you are collecting your height kind of data, most of the points are unique in nature. You guys are understanding? So there, mode doesn't make any sense, right? So most of the times, whenever you are dealing with a continuous data, they are very much distinct in values. So in such cases, mode is not going to work. In practical purpose, we are going to use only the two things. One is the median as well as mean. But still, mode is also not going to getting influenced by. Yes or no? One more before doing that. Let me give one more example. What about this? What are this? 1,2. This is called bimodal. Theoretical, we are not going to use it. Bimodal. Okay. So mode also not going to getting influenced by. It is not getting influenced extreme observations. Yeah, mean also not getting, but sometimes we are facing the problems of dealing with a mode, so better to keep ourselves to either mean or medium. Make sense? You guys are clear when I need to go for it? Fantastic. So this what about the central tendency. So whenever you are having you take any data, it doesn't matter. I'm taking this. Is that is okay? Entire population I'm taking. If I'm taking the entire population, the average will become the mean. Otherwise, formula is not going to change. Make sense? Data. Just I'm clicking on the data. If you click on the data, it is going to, I think I explained how to install this, right? Data analysis. Click on this data analysis. It opens this dialog box. There is something called descriptive statistics. Click on OK. It opens this dialog box. Input range. Input range is nothing but the entire data. Okay. Labels already there in the first row. I'm keeping here. Output range means what? Where I want to store these results. Let's say I'm storing here. Okay, not okay. Summary statistics. Data analysis. You see something called descriptive statistics. Say OK. And you give the range of the data, and that is there in the column, right? It is a row, you select the rows and labels in first row. Output, let's say I want to store the output here. Summary statistics. Say OK. It given this result in one shot. What is this? Mean. Don't forget about this. We are going to come back again. What is this? Standard error and all afterwards. So mode came to this means what? Mode, if you look at one. Oh, there are multiple times this value came, right? You guys are understand? That's why mode exists. If this data is, if the data is not repetitive in nature, for example, let me calculate the mode for this data. 100 observations. Let me do the mode for this data. I mean, not only the mode, let's calculate the descriptive statistics. I'm storing here, let's say I'm storing here the results, but I need to give this as the input. You guys are understanding? Save OK. And labels, everything is perfect. Okay. Now this time, what happened? They are not distinct values. But here, this is a sample. My software doesn't know that whether I'm using the sample or population, right? So always it is going to publish what? Mean only. But you should be clear what you are doing. If this is clear. So what is this value? 167. Here 169. So if you look at this, this, and this, look at this 166 point something, 169 point something. So here more or less our mean and mode are, mean and medium both are equal, right? Yes or no? Why it is coming equal, we will talk in detail afterwards. But you guys are clear what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it is becoming equal, sometimes it may not become equal. When that is going to become equal, all the things we are going to deal. Clear? When I talk about the shape of the data, we are going to understand why it is becoming equal, why it is not becoming equal. Okay, friends. So you guys know how to calculate this mean, mode, median in one shot. You can use the software to do the job. So this how, what is the use of the software is this. But conceptually, you should know what are the things, what are the underlying mathematics involved in it. Okay? Okay, fantastic. Any questions before I move? Any questions before I move? So this is what the central tendency. We are going to understand in depth again the central tendency one more time. But just I introduced what is the meaning of the central tendency. That's all. Okay. Next, degrees of freedom. Very, very important. Very, very important. Infinite important. Degrees of freedom. Hear me out first. Don't think more than what I'm teaching. Okay? It is clear? I'm cautioning you. Okay. Let us understand. I'm not going to write what is the mathematical definition of it, but I am going to explain with an example so that you understand very well. Example 1. x1, x2, x3. Let me equal to 15. Okay. Now I am asking you to substitute. Subhash, I am asking you now to substitute any of the values. You take x1 or x2, your choice. You substitute one value for, if you take, let's say, x1, you substitute some value for x1. Okay, he is saying x1, which one you want to take? x1? Okay, x1 he has taken 9. What is that? Now I'm asking you to substitute the value for x2. How much you want to substitute? You are substituting or it is fixed? It is fixed because once you substituted x1 equal to 9, automatically x2 is fixed. You don't have a choice, right? But x1 you have a choice. You can substitute some other value also. Now I'm asking it. How much you want to substitute? 10. Which one? x2 or x1? x1. x1 equal to 10. Okay? Now do you have a choice for x2? No. If you choose x2 to substitute some value, you substitute for that. Now I don't have a choice for x1. Makes sense? So here, how many equations are there? Original, only one. I'm calling those number of equations which are given. I'm calling those equations as constraints. What I'm calling? Constraint. How many equations? 1. Okay. How many variables are there? I'm calling that as a n2. Okay. How many constraints here? Only one. Because only one equation. How many variables? 2 variables. That's why I'm calling those are n equal to 2. All clear? Okay. Second, I'll come back to this again to do something. Now, Subhash, tell me which variables you want to take and substitute what values. x1, first tell me how much. x1 equal to 5. Don't say again x2 also 5. Say something different. Now, x1 equal to 5. You are having a choice for the x2 or x3. You can choose any value for x2 or x3. So, substitute now. Which one? x2 or x3? x2, 3. Do you have a choice for x3? You don't have a choice, right? Yes or no, guys? Oh. So, how many constraints here? Only one constraint. These you developed it, right? But actually, the original constraint is this one only. How many variables? How many variables? 3. Okay. I'll come back to this again. Example 3. x1, x2, x3 equal to 15. Now I am giving one more constraint. x3 equal to, let's say, 7. are given two constants. I mean two equations. Okay. Now I am asking you to choose any variable. Which variable you want to choose? X1, X3 already fixed. You don't have a choice. So you want to choose X2 equal to how much? X1 or X2? Anything. That's fine. How much you want to take? 3. Now X1, do you have a choice or it's already fixed? Fixed. So how many constants we are having total? 2 constants. How many variables we are having? 3. Friends, all are with me online. These things look very simple. What? Actually, I joined data science. I expected to know the Python and all, but these teaching all these things. You guys may be thinking, but these are going to be the game changers once you know the subject. Okay. Okay. I have given 2 constants, means 2 equations I have given already. Okay. Already I have given these 2. Now I am asking you to fix what is the difference between the 2 and 3. 2, only one equation only I have given. Now here these 2 equations I have given. Here after giving this equation you choose these values. Now I am not allowing to choose X3 equal to on your own. I already fixed. So that's the reason I given 2 constants. These are constants, right? Do you have a choice to choose X3 equal to something? No. In the example 2, do you have a choice to choose X3 equal to something? Yes, that's the difference. Ravi, that is clear? Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, here I have given the 2 constants. Till here, things are clear, guys? So there are 2 constants I have given. Now I am asking to choose variable values on your own. Do you have a choice to choose X3? You don't have a choice. So already fixed. You don't have a choice. Now, what are the choices you are having? Either I can choose some value for X1 or for X2 only. I cannot choose for X3. Yes or no? So now I am asking to choose. Which one you want to choose? X2 or X3? Take anything, tell me. Huh? X1 only. Okay, X1 how much you want to choose? 5 you want to choose. Now, do you have a choice? Do you have a choice? For X2 already fixed, right? Because you need to substitute X1 and X3. Automatically it becomes X2 equal to 3. Already it's fixed. You don't have a choice. So how many variables you are having now? Number of variables are not changing. How many constants you are having? 2. All with me? Guys, any questions on this? Now I am defining the degrees of freedom. I am going to represent degrees of freedom as df. This is universal notation. Okay, that I am defining as n minus c. Let us look at degrees of freedom means what is the freedom you are having to choose the values of variables on your own. Let me repeat. What is the degrees of freedom? The freedom you are having to substitute for the variable values on your own, whatever you want. So how many you are having here? There are 2, 1, only one variable only you can choose? Yes or no? What is the meaning of the degrees of freedom? What is the freedom you are having to choose, substitute the values on your own? Make sense? What about this? 3 minus 1, 2. Right? How many values you have chosen on your own? You need 2 values, right? So that's the reason n minus. See, this is the formula I'm giving you. It's not there in the textbooks. This is experience I'm teaching. Here, what about this? Only one you can choose, right? That's what happened. Because I have given the x3. Either I can choose the value for x1 or x2. You guys are clear on this? You guys are clear on this, friends? Online. Okay. So this is very, very important concept which you are going to use this rigorously in the future. You should not have any question on this. Whatever the question we are having, now only you should ask. If you are nodding your head means you understood. It's your responsibility now to remember. So frequent revisions are very, very important. Whatever I am discussing, I am going to use these things again and again and again. Okay? Any questions on the degrees of freedom? So if you go and look at the definition, what is the third example? How many constraints? What is the constraint? And this is another constraint. 2 constraints. How many variables? 3 variables, 2 constraints. So these are 3. So only for one value only, for one variable only I can choose. What are those variables I can choose? x1 and x2. Out of x1 and x2, I can substitute freely for one of these variables only. If I substitute, let's say x1 equal to something, automatically x2 fixed. Anyway, x3 is already fixed. Clear? Okay, fantastic. Now, I'm opening one more page. Let us understand this. Sigma of x minus x bar equal to 0. Very, very, very important. Very, very, very important. What is the meaning of this? Let us understand. What is the meaning of this? Let us understand. What is x bar? x1 plus x2 up to, it is a sample mean, right? Or this is also called average. Any question on this? This is a formula. If you are having a sample, you need to calculate the average like this. Any question? Okay. Let us take some value for x. Let's say 2, 3, 4. Some values. What is x bar? What is x bar for this data? These looks very simple. These look very simple, but when you are really applying the bigger things, you should not have any confusion. These are the game changers, I'm telling you. These are very fundamental units to build the concepts further. So what is this? 2 plus 3 plus 4 by 3, which is equivalent to 3. So what I need to do? First I need to calculate this. Yes or no? So for that I need to subtract the x bar. So x bar is here 3, 3, 3, right? I want to calculate x minus x bar. How much is this? 2 minus 3 minus 1. 3 minus 3, 0. 4 minus 3, 1. Now, what is the sigma of minus 1 plus 0 plus 1 equal to 0? Yes or no? M&D. Proof, mathematical proof. This is just I have taken with the example and explain. Mathematical proof. You guys want it or not? Huh? How this is going to happen for any data or only for this data set? Huh? But let us, if it is happening mathematically, automatically it's going to happen for? Yes or no? So what is this? Sigma x minus x bar. Sigma x. Sigma x bar. Yes or no? M&D. I'm taking the LHS. sigma x minus, but we know x bar equal to what? Sigma x by n. Any question? Sigma x by n, which implies sigma x equal to nx bar. Emandi? Yes or no? Now I'm taking this. Let us put as it is sigma x minus. What is the sigma x bar? It is a constant you are adding, right? Sigma of this 3 plus 3 plus 3. Yes or no? So it is like a sigma of A. Sigma of A is nothing but NA. This is nothing but what? Sigma x, this is coming 3 times. If there are n observations, it is going to come n times. So nx bar, friends, all are with me. Have I written this nx bar clear or not? Online? This is a formula I used. NA. Here x bar is like a constant. You are adding that constant 3 times. You know, Rupa, you know this formula. Sigma A equal to NA. What I am saying is sigma x bar. X bar, how many times you are adding here? 3 times, right? So 3 into x bar, right? If you are adding 3 times. If there are n observations, 3 observation, 3x bar, which is equivalent to 3 plus 3 plus 3, nah? 3 times of, this is a 9, right? This is a 9, which is equivalent to x bar value also 3 and 3. Is matching? So if there are 3 observations, I have added 3x bar. You know, it will become a 3x bar. If I am having n observations, nx bar. Okay, Rupa. Okay. So which is equivalent to, what is this already? We derived this. Sigma x equal to nx bar. From here, I'm substituting here. Nx bar, already nx bar. How much is this? 0. Okay, not okay? If you get the mathematical proof, you will be more confident. You will become violent. That is more important in any subject. Okay? So always remember, sigma of x minus x bar equal to 0, where x is a sample data. Where x is sample data. Now let us understand this further. I am taking this. Let us verify on the Modi problem. I am deleting all these things. Let's calculate x bar. For this sample data I am doing it. X bar. How much is that? Average. Why I am doing all these things? You guys are going to understand in the future. Let's not worry about now. I am teaching, you learn it. That's all. Now, this is x, right? Yes or no? X minus x bar. How much is this? I need to subtract this minus this. For all the things I need to do that. Now, let us calculate the sum. Sum of all these values. How much is this? 0. That's what we prove. Any question? Now I want to calculate x minus mu. X minus mu, where x is the sample data, not the population data. Let's calculate this. So this is my population. Yes or no? In real world, you don't know the population. You cannot verify this. But mathematically, to make you understand, I'm explaining. All with me? These are me for all the 20,000 observations. Let's do the same thing. Oh, let's copy the mu. This is the one. I need to calculate x minus mu. That is nothing but x is this, mu is this. Right? Let's calculate the sum. Okay, not okay. Is it 0? It's not 0. So what is the summary? Sigma x minus x bar 0, but sigma x minus mu, remember, or you guys are clear on this? So there is a one constraint on the sample data. What is that constraint? What is that constraint? This is a constraint. So if you are having 10 observations and if you know the average, let's say there are, this average is the average of 10 observations, but only you know the 9 observations. Can I find out the 10th observation? Yes or no? So what I'm trying to say is, you know the average, you know only 9 observations up to 9, but this average is the average of 10 observations. So what I can do? I can find out what is the 10th observation? Yes or no? It is like this. Let's say 2, 3, 4. I'm deleting this, but I'm giving the average value. The average of 3 observations is how much? Let's say 3. I have not given this. Can I find out this or not? What is the meaning of this? Sigma x minus x bar, right? Sigma x minus n x bar equal to 0. This is a rule on the data, rule on any sample data, not the I'm not considering the population. I'm considering only sample. All are with me. Okay. You got, this is the population. For the population, this is the average. I mean the mean. Okay. I've taken the mean. I calculated the x minus mu. Okay. Shrikant, this is clear, whatever I said. And now I added all the x minus mu values. It is not becoming 0. So that's what I've written here. But for the sample thing, it is always become 0. Always. It always becomes 0. Always. But for the sample, for the population, if you substitute the population value, it may 0, it may not 0. So in general, it need not 0. All with me? But here, it should be always. Okay. Now, this what I can write. So what is the summation? 2 plus 3 plus x3 minus nx bar. How many observations are there? 3, 9 equal to 0. So this is going to give x3 equal to how much? 4. Yes or no? So even I don't know the one observation, by knowing this, I can find out because this is a constraint on the data. All with me? So how many observations you can choose freely when you know the sample average? If there are n observations, how many observations you can choose freely? N minus 1. Yes or no? Yes. You can substitute only n minus 1 value. Automatically the last value will be fixed. All with me? Online. We are getting to the deeper of the subject. Online guys, you guys are clear? So what I'm saying is, if there are 10 observations, always you can choose only n minus 1 observations freely, and automatically other one fixed, because the sample that what is the constraint? Sigma x minus x bar equal to 0. Why I'm learning all these things? In the future you are going to understand. Don't worry about it. Okay. Or spread of the data. Spread is by language. If I write a book, I'll write like this. When we subtracting mean from each value, then doing summation, why it is 0? Because here while adding the sum, how many times you are adding? Our question is this. Let me explain one more time. Sigma, why it is not 0? Let me do it mathematically. I can multiply this sigma inside. Sigma x minus sigma mu. Here, sigma x is, let's keep it sigma x. Here, how many observations, how many times I'm adding? 20,000 times. Yes or no? But here, sigma, how many times? Only 100. If you take the sample here also this will become the 100, right? That's why that 100, this 100, it will become equal and it will become 0. Rupa, is that is clear? Think, keeping blank. Okay. Things are clear or not? Because the sample size is changing, na? Sample size is changing because of that reason. Okay, good. You should ask such kind of questions. You should not trust whatever I'm teaching. When you don't trust, automatically you will get the subject. Okay. Dispersion. What is the dispersion? Spread of the data. Means what? How my data is ranging. What is the minimum value? What is the maximum value or not? So first, range in this. What is the range definition? The maximum value in the data minus minimum value in the data. Yes or no? And second is IQR. Already we learned this IQR, right? This is also going to give a kind of spread. What is IQR? This is a Q1. This is a Q3. Q3 minus Q1 is the IQR, right? Yes or no? Is it giving the spread of the data or not? M and D. So Q3 minus Q. Third one, standard deviation. Among all these things, important. What is the standard deviation? Let me write the definition and I'll correct this definition again. Standard deviation. For sample and population. For sample, we use the symbol S. For population, we use the symbol sigma. First, let us understand for the sample. What is this? What is the meaning of the standard deviation? The meaning of the standard deviation is nothing but, let's say this is my data. You guys remember the histogram? Like this. So I'm not going to write like this. Let me explain with a simple thing. Let's take this X. This is X bar. Let's say this X is 2, 3, 4. X bar is how much? 3. If I draw the something like this is the 3, this is the 2, this is the 4, right? Now let's calculate x minus x bar. How much is this? Minus 1, 0, 1. Agree? So this is my center. X bar, na? X bar is nothing but my center. And how my data is deviating from my center. How much it is deviating? This is nothing but the deviation. Deviation of the data. From where? From the center. All with me? Yes or no? This is a deviation. So from here, how much it is going this side? Minus 1. From this side, plus 1. From here it is 0. So I am defining the standard deviation now. Standard deviation is nothing but average of deviations. Average of deviations from the center. Is this okay? Average of deviation from the center. What are the average deviations? Minus 1, 0, 1. I need to take the average of all those values. So what is the meaning of that? Sigma. This is nothing but sum of all the averages. Sorry, sum of all the deviations divided by how much? N. So in our case, as per this, average of deviations. What are the deviations? These are the deviations. Minus 1, 0, plus 1. So sum of, what is average? Sum of all the observations. So here, what are the observations here? The deviations. What are the deviations here? Minus 1, 0, plus 1. So minus 1, 0, plus 1 divided by 3. But as per the theory, what is this? Always for any data, it is 0, right? Yes or no, guys? So whatever the definition I've written is not right? Because we know, but there is some deviation, right? If you look at the data, go on, minus 1 this side, plus 1 this side, some data deviation is there from the center. But when I calculated using this formula, how much I am getting? 0. Why I am getting 0? Because I know from theory, sigma x minus x bar is always 0 for any data. So there is something wrong with the formula which I given. So what statistics done? Instead of that, no, don't do that. Square it. Square it. I'm writing here. Means what? Minus 1 square, 0 square, 1 square, right? This is a 1, this is 0, 1. Now, when I'm squaring it, automatically everything will become positive. So, I'm avoiding, it's always becoming 0. Makes sense or not? Friends, all with me. So that's the reason, instead of adding directly the deviations, I'm adding the squared deviation, average of the squared deviations I'm doing. So here, what I need to introduce? Average of squared deviations. Why I squared it? You guys are clear? To avoid that? 0, because there is some deviation, right? Okay. Now, what is my formula then? Sigma x minus x bar whole square divided by n. As I squared it, that's why I'm putting the root. This is the formula for sample standard deviation. But actually, I'm not going to divide by n, I'm going to divide by n minus 1. Why I'm doing that? Because actually, how many observations I am free to choose? N-1 only, right? So indirectly, actually, it is the average of N-1 observations. All with me. But it doesn't matter. When I'm taking large amount of data, let's say 1 crore, I'm taking N-1, 1 crore minus 1, it's not going to make any difference, right? All with me. Friends, what I'm saying is, here N-1 I kept it. Why I kept the N-1? Because there is a constant, or how many constant on the data? One constant. I don't have a choice to choose all the observation freely. I'm having only N- observations, only I can choose freely. That's why I'm dividing by N-1. Strictly speaking, how many random variables are there? Each observation has one random variable, right? Only if there are 10 observations, actually strictly, there are only 9 observations, only 9 observations are freely you can choose. But automatically, the 10th one will become fixed. So that's the reason I'm dividing by N-1 instead of the N. All with me, but this N-1 or N, you can divide in also. If you go to the machine learning, we divide by N, always. In statistics, we divide by N-1. Because machine learning, we are going to use the very large data sets. At that time, whether I use N or N-1, it doesn't make any difference. If you are having 1 crore of observations, 1 crore minus 1 is going to make any difference to the calculations? It's not. But when the data size is very, very less, definitely it is going to make the difference. Sir, can't we consider multiple constraints? Only one constraint on the data. What are the multiple constraints? On given sample data set, there is only one constraint on the data. There are no any other constraints. Okay, Ravi? That is sigma x minus x bar equal to 0. Hope this is clear. So what is this? This is only the sample standard deviation. But what about this? If I take n, right? Why n? There is no constraint on the data. When I'm taking mu, it's not a 0, no? You guys are clear on this? Why the formulas? Standard deviation, you need to remember. You need to remember. What is the N-1? There is a constraint on the data. Actually, how many observations you are having freely to choose? N-1. That's why I'm dividing the average. I'm taking the N-1. But what about this? There is no constraint. X minus sigma x minus mu is not going to be 0, right? That's why I'm dividing by n. Okay? Okay, Srikanth. That's all. Okay. Let me introduce some difficult thing now. We are squaring x minus x bar. Yeah, that's the reason we are using the square root of it to avoid that. Okay. So if you look at here, let us calculate for the data here before going to further. Maybe in the next class I'll take about further. But let us understand this. How much is this? Sigma 2 minus how much is this? Minus 1 whole square, 0 whole square, 1 whole square divided by 2, right? How much is that? 2 divided by 2, 1. On an average, how much it is deviating? 1. That's what is happening? Yes or no? Clear or not? Clear or not? Okay. So let us calculate the standard deviation for the some data. Standard deviation. There is a function stdev. One is a dot p, another is dot s. Dot p stands for population, dot s stands for sample. So let's say this is my sample. I'm going to make use of this, all with me. So it is going to do all the calculations for 10.09. What is the meaning of the 10.09? On an average, my data is deviating 10 units from the center. Let me repeat what I said. How much my data is deviating? What is the mean? Mean or whatever, standard deviation. So average. Okay, average. This is. What is the meaning of this? My data is going to deviate from 167, this side 10, that side 10, on an average. M&D online. So which means I may get 157 this side and 177 that side on an average. All with me. That's the reason if you see most of the data points are falling there. Some data points are going outside of it. 143 is not part of this lower and upper limit, right? You guys are understanding? So most of the data is falling between those. Why it is not falling this one, for example? We are going to understand those things in the future. Let's not worry about it. But what I'm trying to say, what is this? It is the average deviation from the center of the data. Center is nothing but, it could be mean, it could be median also. It could be mode also. But for practical purpose, we use either mean or median based on the need. All with me. All with me, guys. What is your question? So here is the question. Why not I take mod by n? Is what your question? Sigma. Thus, what is the meaning of this? Absolute in the sense modulus. Absolute in the sense what? Modulus. So what he's saying is, why not I can do like this? So this is nothing but mod of -1, mod of 0, mod of 1 by 3. Mod means either you get positive or negative, always take positive only. So 1 plus 0 plus 3. But there is a problem. You can use this, but when I'm going to make use of some other mathematical operations, this is going to give the problem. What is the problem? Modulus, mod x is a discontinued function in calculus. I'm going to differentiate these functions. Differentiation of mod x doesn't exist. I cannot do the differentiation. If you're not understanding, don't worry about it. It is going to give, if I take the absolute value modulus, it is going to give some problem with the mathematics. That's why I'm not interested in modulus, I'm interested in the square. Clear? Because in calculus, x square differentiation is how much? 2x. But modulus of x differentiation doesn't exist. Why it doesn't exist? Let's not worry about it. Out of syllabus. Modulus, no, I cannot do some mathematical operations. Things are clear? Friends, clear or not? Let's not worry about this. For practical purpose, I am squaring and I am doing it, not taking the absolute value. This is called mean deviation. If you take the absolute value, this is also called mean deviation. We are not interested in. In Telugu, Krama Vicharanam. We studied. Okay? But we are not interested in that. I am interested in squaring and taking the average. That is fine.